BMW has just released the new BMW X3, and in this video I'm going to redesign it, both in the front end and in the rear. I do understand what they were trying to go for here, a more static, more maybe architectural design. So I'm going to try and keep that. I'm going to try and honor that design language, but still keeping it a little bit more BMW-ness. You know, that feeling you get when you see on BMW, the confident face. I don't really get that for this new X3, and I want to try to implement that somehow. But before we jump into the redesign here, let's have a look at the entire lineup of BMW X3s. Unveiled in 2005 with the first generation X3. I think the X3 has probably always looked a little funky to me. I mean, look at the front end here. It looks like the front end is very small compared to the rest of the proportions of this car. And then you have these weird graphics. So they were doing weird stuff back in 2005 with the X3. And you can see the kidneys are pretty small here as well. We have a big plastic bumper in the front end. I do believe this was facelifted in 2008. Where it got a lot more modern looking. This plastic bumper is not entirely black, and they also switched out the grille, so the kidneys in the middle got a little bit bigger, and it just looks overall better. If you're gonna go with first generation X3, you want to go with a facelifted version. Now in 2011 they came out with the second generation X3, and this is still pretty interesting when it comes to the design. It's always been, you know, the headlights that are the interesting features here for the X3. Because look at this curvature that we have dipping down here. So it goes from straight here and then dipping down and also doing the same thing up top in the front end. Still very much recognizable as a BMW, of course, as you can see. But you can see that the lower section, that's where it felt like it got a lot more modern compared to the 2005 version, which is basically just a plastic piece. Now 2015, we have a new version. This is actually a substantial facelift of the 2011. You can see that the side is exactly the same as we have in the 2011. So the side view pretty much did not change at all, but you do have a much more aggressive looking front end now, and you don't have these curvatures in the headlights dipping downwards. And I do like this generation of the X3. I think it looks good. I like that we have a connection with the headlight into the grille here, as you can see, and that is one detail that I'm going to add to the redesign that we're going to do in this video in just a minute. And moving on to the 2018, and this one, this is by far my favorite X3 to date. The weird thing about this is 2018 was the first year that it came out with the X3M competition. And the thing is, you would think that the M competition would have a little bit more styling to it and be a lot more aggressive. But the thing is, if you look at this lower section of the normal X3 like we have here for 2018, there's a lot going on here. We have this fin, we have this black plastic here, we have a fog light in here, a separation of the main kidney, of the main grille in the lower section, with some angles to it, different angles. So the top half of this front end looks great, looks very clean, very BMW, and I do love the kidneys here. The headlights look great as well, the overall proportions, the wheels and the side view with this line flow that we have here, clean shoulder line going into the corner of both the taillight and the headlight. But if you look at the M competition, that actually cleans all of this mess up, and that is why I love the 2018 BMW X3 M competition. By far my favorite X3 to date. So I guess if you're gonna buy if you're gonna buy an X3 overall, if you're thinking about buying the new one, I would just go for the 2018 M competition. You would get a lot more power for probably way less price, cheaper price than you get a brand new standard X3 in 2025. Now 2022 here, you might wonder, why don't I like the 2022? Because it still looks pretty good here. The front, yes, looks great. It looks really cool. I'm not sure about these things sticking up a little bit too far and too close to the headlight. I want to have them be a little lower like this chamfer that we have going here. The grille looks great, headlights look great, and I'm not sure which one is more complex in the lower section between the 2018 here or the 2022, but I do like overall what's going on here. But in the rear end, this is the big change for the 2018, and that is the reason why I 100% prefer the 2018 over the 2022, because I don't like those halo lights that we have in the back of the 2022. The 2018 definitely has the cleanest tail lights of any X3 in my opinion, and add the M competition package onto that, and we do have a fantastic looking X3. Now, looking at the new one here, what I want to change, we're going to talk mostly about the front end, even though I'm going to redesign both the front and the rear. Now, this is the area here that it sort of annoys me. I said this in my second channel video about the X3, that this just barely touches this piece right here. It barely touches the corner. I'm not sure if we want to have a piece of body color here, or if what I'm gonna do is just have the headlight extend all the way in, similar to what we have on, which was it, 2015, I do believe, this one right here, and also the previous generation 5 Series. I do think that will help this design, because now it's like undefined, it's insecure, it doesn't know if you want to just go in and poke the corner of the corner there, or if you don't want to leave it alone, leave it some space, or do we want to fully crash into the grill? And I'm gonna do the latter. I'm gonna crash this headlight right into the grill here. I'm also gonna lower the height of the kidneys and have a clear separation between this lower section here. This black graphic, like BMW is doing specifically on their X models now, I don't understand it at all. I'm not sure why we need to have this entire piece be black. I want to have this be in body color to have a separation like we have in the previous generations of the top half with the grille, the headlights, and the lower section going to be the lower intakes and so on. And I'm not sure what's going on here either. It feels like BMW is just randomly throwing angles onto their cars. This is two parallel lines here, and one thing we don't want to have if we want to have a dynamic design is parallel lines, specifically in key graphics such as the front end, and that creates a very static look. So I'm going to change this and have this line be completely straight, go into the lower graphics here, and as I said, do some body work, body color in this section that is all black. The headlights, I kind of do like the headlights here. Would maybe want to have a little bit more dynamic feel, so extend the width of this piece right here, and also the width of this piece, so we have different thicknesses of these two pieces, but that's just a small detail. So with that said, let's jump into the redesign here. As I said, both the front end and the rear is going to be redesigned in this video, and let's see, I'm gonna walk you through the changes once we're done with this, and I'm gonna show you the before and after flip between those. So while we do the redesign, now let's have a look at what this X3 is all about. So 2025 BMW X3 pairs funky styling with punchier powertrains. Comes with two different powertrains. You have the 30 X-Drive, utilizes a 255 horsepower turbocharged engine, 2-liter 4-cylinder equipped with a 48-volt hybrid system. Then you have the M50 X-Drive. We have a turbocharged 3-liter inline 6 paired with the same 48-volt hybrid system, pumping out 393 horsepower, close to 400 horsepower in a non-MX3. The numbers are getting crazier and crazier here. It will start for the 4-cylinder at $50,675, and the 6-cylinder X3 will start at $65,275, and that's what I'm talking about. If I were to buy an X3 today, I would definitely look at a 2018 M competition. I do think you can probably get them for under the base price of the 4-cylinder of the 2025 model year, and it also looks a whole lot better than this. Not just the exterior, but also the interior is so much better in the old BMWs. Now, the X3 is BMW's best-selling model globally, which means that they need to really get this right, and that is what I'm going to try and help them with here in this redesign. It also get a lot bigger than the previous model. It's 1.3 inches longer and 1.1 inches wider, but it sits 1 inch lower than the previous X3, so it creates a nice sporty stance for this car. You have a new take on the grille here, and I'm not sure what BMW is thinking, because if you look at the grille on the base model, you have diagonal bars and you also have vertical bars going in the same kidneys. Now, if you look at the diagonal bars, they have zero connection to any graphic. If you extend those lines, I want to have some sort of connection to some pieces, some lines that go on the bodywork, but they decided to just slap in some diagonal lines in combination with the vertical lines to just make it more messy, and I don't understand why. Now, when it comes to the wheels here, you have 19 inches as standard, you have 20s or 21 inch as options. I would definitely go for the 21 inch for this one, because since we don't have plastic trim around the wheel houses here, it tells me that this is probably not going to go off-road that much, or at least it's not intended to, so I might as well just throw on the 21-inch wheels for this X3. Now the base model has the tailpipes hidden, which I don't like. I want to see the tailpipes. If it's an internal combustion engine, and unless it's a luxury like 7 Series or an S-Class, the luxury trim of those, you can have the tailpipes hidden. But every other internal combustion engine, I want to see the tailpipes. In the base, it's hidden, but in the M50, you have quad tailpipes in the lower section, which looks so much better when you can see the tailpipes here. Now the interior, I talked about this in my second channel video of the X3. I am not a fan of this interior at all. It feels like the same philosophy coming back to the from the exterior coming back in the interior, meaning that we have a lot of lines, a lot of thick bars of LEDs that have zero connection to anything else going on in the interior. You also have the iDrive 9 here now, which means that you have even less physical buttons than you had before. Instead, you have sliders, and you have everything being controlled by the infotainment screen. I do remember when I had the XM for a week here to test drive and to review, the screen died a couple of times. So what would happen if you have an iDrive 9 system and the infotainment screen just goes blank and black? You have to stop, it needs to cool down, and you have to restart the car. You can't control anything if you have everything inside of the software. It just does not make sense to me to have everything, the basic stuff like the climate control settings, inside of the software. It's never gonna make sense to me, and I do wish we'd bring back the physical dials here. You have a brand new steering wheel. I do like the design of the steering wheel. It looks good. Flat bottom. You also have the red little strip up top at 12 o'clock. Now the engines here, as we said, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder for the base, 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. The top speed for the base model is 130 miles per hour. If you bump it up to the M50, you do get almost 400 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque. And 0 to 60 in this one is 4.4 seconds. I do believe it's actually going to be faster than that because BMW is pretty conservative when it comes to releasing the official 0 to 60 times. The standard M50 is limited as well to 130 miles per hour, but you can get the M Drivers package, and that will bump it up to 155 miles per hour if you want to. Now this will continue to be produced in the US, in South Carolina, and as we said, the base price is going to be $50,675. So with that said, let's have a look at this redesign here. And let's see what is actually happening here. So I'll put them side by side here for you so you can see exactly the changes that I made. Let me walk you through them and why I did the changes. So first of all, on this side we do have the standard one, and this is my redesign on the right side over here. Now as you can see, I wanted to change the height of the kidneys here, make them more squished, and also of course remove these diagonal lines, because as I said, if we extend these lines, no connection either in the bottom or in the lower section. So let's create a much more BMW look for the front end with the vertical lines in the grille. And I also wanted to extend and crash the headlight, as I said, into the grille. And you can see that here. I think it looks so much better just having it like this, because now it feels like the headlight has a clear connection. It doesn't just poke the corner of the grille up top there. And I also added this small little chamfer down underneath the headlights to make it feel welcomed in the front end. Now, looking at the black graphic here, as I said, I don't understand why BMW is putting this graphic here. If you're gonna put the black graphic there, you want to have a clear connection to it somewhere where it meets the kidneys. But in this case, it just crashes into this line. It doesn't even go into this corner or this corner. Instead, it just goes right in the middle. So that is something that I definitely wanted to change. And you can see that here. I just wanted to have a clear separation, almost like a bumper in the front end between the top half of the graphics and the lower section as well. I also redesigned this area and this lower section a little bit to make it feel still a lot more static than we're used to seeing from BMW, a lot more architectural. But as I said, I wanted to try to respect the ideas or the philosophies of the designers while still making it feel more BMW to me. Now looking at the rear end, this line right here, I do think this line sits too high up. So I want to bring this down, and I want to introduce a second line, a chamfer that goes underneath the taillights here, and also work a little bit on the taillights themselves. You can see the result right here. I do think this looks more SUV-like, and this looks more minivan-like. When I wanted to introduce that chamfer going around and underneath the taillight, the key graphics, to have them have a separate framing for the key graphics in the rear end, while also lowering this line that we talked about right here to make it feel a little bit more dynamic, and as I said, more like an SUV instead of a minivan. So that's my redesign of the X3. I'm looking forward to seeing what this actually looks like in real life. Maybe I will completely change my opinion about this design, but I doubt it. Sometimes it happens, but I don't think it's gonna happen with the BMW X3.